on top of the world, about to jump above it. Take it straight to the moon, 'cause we know how to rock it. Ain't no thing you can do, ain't no way to stop it. Now you're feeling it too, let's get it started. Throw your hands in the air while the beat is dropping. Acting like you don't care when everybody's watching. Just keep whipping your hair like that, you got it. Yeah, you're feeling it too, let's get it started. I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Charts off the meter, turn it up, blow the speakers, make them all to believers. Break through the surface, tell them open the curtains, give them all what they wanted, yeah. Now let's get it started. I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. Yeah, I'm ready, ready. I'm ready. Are you ready, ready? I'm ready. Let's get it started. Yeah, yeah, I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Let's go. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it, get it. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Give me something new. Time to break loose. Take it to another level. Now we on the move. Shout if you coming with me. Going over the limit. On your mark, keep it steady. So tell me, are you ready? I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, tonight Super Speedway Racing, as we are here for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series Season 4, race number 13, the second to last race of the regular season before we get to our cutoff to see who will be racing for a playoffs and for a championship here this season. But first, they've got to conquer here tonight the 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway. Drivers got to see if they can conquer this. This is the Blanchard Towing 200 here at Daytona. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is going to be that of Kevin England with LSRTV Studios in the background. Thanks for joining us here at LSRTV. Excited for racing action. Kevin, these drivers have set up all season long. This is the 13th race of the season. We've had a ton of drama at short tracks. We've seen a lot of excitement at super speedways. But here tonight, usually what is known as the start of the season, now the second to last regular season race here for these drivers.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship coming to Daytona because you're really not in control of your destiny. It's really about your strategy to get yourself up front at the end and see if you can snag yourself a win. And, you know, some of them see it as an opportunity. Some people just want to get past this week and head into Bristol next week. But I think these are some of the most exciting races of the season because of the fact that just about anybody has a chance to win.
They really do, and we've seen drivers that have been consistent and putting themselves in opportunities to win, succeeding, such as last week, Ted Wade finding himself in a victory lane once again for the 2, beating out that of Adam Newbert in a very dramatic Indianapolis race that came to the end. Kevin, I think after last week's race, seeing the draft being such an integral part at Indy as well as tires, coming here to Daytona, tires might not be as important, but still the draft is here tonight.
Yeah, there's a couple factors that come with this type of race. It's teammates, it's draft, it's track position, it's clean pit stops if you get to green flag. It's 2 and 3 wide racing. All of those elements come to a Daytona at night. I love to watch these trucks run under the nighttime skies. And, you know, I think watching the practice out here, these guys look awful racy tonight. They are pushing the envelope all the way through. I think we're going to see a pretty challenging race.
I'm just excited to see how the whole entire night's going to go. We've seen multitudes of super speedway racing. We saw iRacing and super speedway racing back for round number 9 this season, where Keith Bradley's found himself into victory lane. And then just about a couple of weeks ago, we found that of Keith Bradley back in victory lane again at Talladega. This is the 3rd super speedway race for these drivers this season. As we take a look at our race information, practice only 2 minutes left here. But open qualifying like we've seen at these super speedway race tracks. Kevin, I think this is when qualifying is at its most exciting. I'm excited for it. And as well, 85 laps for our featured race here tonight. But open qualifying, meaning everyone's going to be on track when qualifying starts.
Yeah, and in that case, it's not like the typical traditional one truck at a time. And drivers know that magic formula: run up high on the outlap, run down low, cross the yellow apron, rub the voodoo doll, or whatever it is to get themselves. There's some people who just know that magic formula, but with open qualifying, it's really about friends. It's about finding the draft. It's about trying to be out in the back and getting a run. It should make for an interesting dynamic to see who can snag a pole here tonight. And, nobody's been better at it than our winner from last week, Ted Wade.
Ted Wade certainly has been finding himself in the poles positions a ton this season, and he just continues to be one of the drivers that we keep on looking out for. He's got 3 poles so far this season. He's going to try to go for his 4th. His other 2 poles coming at Kentucky, Dover, Watkins Glen, and as well going to be at the Indianapolis. Actually, take that back. Just Watkins Glen, Dover, and Kentucky, with Indianapolis almost being a pole for himself. As we take a look here at our ML performance, that of our weather conditions here tonight, it is going to be a very cool 68-degree Fahrenheit with a nice breeze. Any fluctuating a lot here. It was at 9, now down to 7, but the track temp being at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Not something we're expecting to change much because the sun's not out. We're under the lights. We're expecting everything to stay pretty steady all the way throughout this night. But Kevin, a prime setup for these drivers to get racy and have some of the best runs overall throughout the night.
Yeah, of course, this 2.5-mile oval with 31 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2 affords you to run pretty much wide open around here. And I agree with you. It's going to be a racy night with the track conditions the way they are. There's plenty of grip for these guys, not a lot of tire wear. If you look at the trouble zones, well, really, a lot of these drivers want to hug that yellow line down to the bottom, but you can't touch the apron. And, well, I think if we see some pit stops, and I believe we're going to getting slowed down for pit entry and also exiting that pit, that apron is awful slick over there in turn 1 and 2.
Going to be something for all the drivers to worry about, but it is time. Qualifying is done. Practice is done. Qualifying is now beginning. Again, this is open qualifying, meaning all drivers will be out on track for 10 minutes. The goal, get the fastest lap possible, which usually at other tracks, Kevin, we would say you want to be up front, have the clean air, but with super speedway wise, it's much better to be in the back of the field trying to maximize that speed.
Yeah, ultimately qualifying, I'm going to say it out loud, it's not that important here tonight. It's really just a statistic. Everybody wants to have a pole and they want to win getting the truck out of the trailer. They want to win getting up to the practice lane. They want to win practice, and they want to win qualifying, and they want to win the race. They just want to win. So certainly they want to be the fastest that they can be. And really, if you don't have a good qualifying spot, you can race your way through the field here in the number of laps that we have, 85 tonight. So really here it's just about bragging rights, and we'll see who gets to play this game the best.
As you see here, drivers working together. This is normally known as a pit party of drivers all coming out as a cluster during practice. And for qualifying, it's super interesting to see the fact that there are some groups that feel confident, hey, let's go out with 8 trucks all together. Others are already on track trying to put down their fastest times just as one. But I think what's great about open qualifying, it's not based on you've only, limited to just 2 laps. You can go out there and be out on track as long as you want, maximize your speed. But for the drivers that are waiting, I would say, Kevin, they're putting themselves in a very precarious spot of they've got to be perfect when they hit the track, but that's if they want to get there on track, as the first drivers hitting the board going to be that of Michael McKinnon and Jacob Klinkhart in the 5.
Yeah, an interesting dynamic. There's one pack coming here through the tri-oval across the start-finish line, and the second pack, probably about 30 car lengths behind them, 30 truck lengths behind them. That second pack should get the draft from the first pack, and my guess is, if you want to see who your pole sitter is, you might want to look in that stack right there. Is looking at Taylor Peacock in that green truck out in the back. You could see the green nose of his truck. That second pack visibly closing down here.
They are flying, just trying to get up to speed. Currently top of the board going to be that of Taylor Peacock, and already drivers being spun around. Oh, there goes the 96, and others are going to bounce off one another. Those are drivers that were in prime positions further back. Now going to be just throwing away their opportunity to put a lap down, but everyone else that's in this group, 6 minutes and 45 seconds to go. They've still got a lot of time for themselves, but here's the mind games. Who wants to be up front leading this thing? Because technically, if you're the leader, you're losing time and ground. That's what we've seen some trucks dipping out, not feeling like this was the run or the position they wanted to be in.
Yeah, that truck we saw go and spinning over there in turn number 3, Torrey Thompson. Haven't seen much of him this season. The Red Bank, New Jersey driver out here making a start at Daytona International. And you can look at all these drivers kind of stacked in here. Really what you want to see is who's going to try and pull out and maybe get a little draft and get that run here off of turn number 4. Saw Daniels jump out, see if he can get it, then it closed up, and you just don't know. The funny thing is it could be the 4th truck, it could be the 6th truck, it could be the last truck that's the fastest in the group as they cross the line.
All about also finding how to lessen scrub time. You want to make sure that you are not bobbing or weaving or getting too close to the drivers, so you're inside or outside, utilizing side traffic, costing you time and momentum. As you're seeing there, Ted Wade dropping low. Contest to be made of Devin Painter in the middle of this group. And there goes Painter, there goes LaBeouf, and they're going to be wrecking out, and it just resets this pack. Luckily, they still have 5.5 minutes to go, but that's 6 trucks that now have to reset and try once more. It's going to be that of Robert Richards leading this group. Ted Wade as well going to be seeing some other drivers trying to stay attached to this group that's up front. It's Tyler Dittmer leading this once a large, that of 10 to 15 trucks together, now dwindled to just that of 5.
Yeah, we saw LaBeouf back there on the spin cycle, and he's going to go in and see if he can find some friends. There was another truck spinning back there. Maybe the two of them can join up and see what they can get. As Jose Luis Rivera right in the middle of that mix of trucks. As you watch these 2 trucks run nose to tail coming off of the corner, looks like some of them are just practicing their pit entry here.
Yeah, that's going to be coming into pit road 42. Ed Osborne actually second on the board, working just in tandem with that of James Morris. So, hey, sometimes you're just going to find one other driver to attach to and you can find some speed. These larger groups, notoriously known for if they're all in line, you're really putting some speed down. You're going to see them go 3 wide. Some of you going down on the apron, which is fair game. We are not advancing positioning. We're just trying to cut down on the track course, and there goes the 94. He's spun around, and just like that, more calamity for this group that started out so large and continue to just dwindle down in the trucks that are here. And now, for those that have gotten damaged, I would say, Kevin, you've got to immediately duck low, get a reset on your truck, and hope that you can group up with other drivers, and some even blocking right now. Dittmer and Jose Luis Rivera on the 44 of Logan Quinn.
Yeah, the qualifying session is set for 10 minutes, so they have quite a bit of time to go out here and rack in the laps. And even if you are that person who's up at the top of the stack, you really just got to run this whole thing out and see if you can get a better lap one other time. Right now, Taylor Peacock at the top of the line. We saw Ed Osborne go to pit road, and you know, sometimes they just want to reset, talk to each other, and say, okay, this is the game plan, go.
And here comes the 9. Brady LaBeouf with a huge run. Going to give the bump to the bottom of 34. That's going to be Tyler Dittmer. Dittmer, that last lap, able to move up from that of 14th up to 9th to the 34. And you're seeing 3 wide action, more drivers. The 97 drops to follow the 9. Our last season champion, and as well, Speaking of last season, the 5 currently there running third truck on the inside. That's named Jacob Klinkart, who actually won this race last season for season 3. See if the 5 can get it done once more. But like you talked about, Kevin, qualifying, yes, we're hyping it up, but it isn't going to be the most important thing. Drivers that don't even put a qualifying time down back in last place, they're still going to have a great opportunity to win. It's all about just surviving to make it to the end.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and we'll see different strategies play out in the race itself. Some drivers going to hang back and wait till the end, see if attrition allows them to get the track position. Others want to be out in front of this pack, a typical Daytona thing. See if you can lead every lap. If the crash happens behind you, you care less, and just block and protect all the way through. You see these drivers coming around some of these slower trucks, and you know, felt like all of them waved up there out of turn number 4, pushing the corner. They're going to scrape off some time there, and that wasn't going to be a fast lap. It's funny how that works. You catch a slower truck and you're happy to see the draft, but then you don't have the preferred line off the corner, and it slows you down. It's just the way it goes.
And at the same time, though, these drivers who are trying to group up with this pack that we're watching currently actually was able to put down some of the fastest laps. The 2 of Ted Wade moving up to second past Peacock, but taking the new pole position, going to be that of Keith Bradley, who is not picking pole at any of these super speedway tracks we've ran this season. Taking a different type of approach here as we're coming to our final minute. This is it. If you want to put down your fastest lap, it is go time. And this is the most exciting minute of qualifying because you don't know who's going to get it done. Anyone from this group could potentially get it. It could be someone else on track, as we got to keep our eyes on that ticker board and taking the pole position right back. It's Taylor Peacock.
Yeah, and he matched exactly the time for Keith Bradley. 47.71. Just the way that it goes, maybe let's look and see if we can figure out what the hundredths were on that. They basically ran the same lap time.
Yeah, it's going to be a 47.706 for Peacock. Keith Bradley coming with a 47.714. Beating out that of Keith Bradley is going to be by that of, I believe, 8 thousandths of a second is Peacock. So a very quick time, 14 seconds left. Still a couple of drivers coming across the line, but majority of them caught up in that wreck going into turn number 1, not able to truly maximize their speed. But there still are a few drivers out on track, but I don't know if they're going to be making it to the line. And it's going to be Taylor Peacock. Checkered flag waves as the time is running out. Drivers trying to finish out their times if they're still out there on track. But Kevin, excitement strikes once more in the final minute. Peacock taking that pole position back.
Yeah, he rolled the dice. He was out in the back of that stack, went up to the high line, was able to get a good draft, and that made the difference. And Peacock going to get his first pole of the year.
Peacock's been showing a lot of consistency, and this is the time to do it. This is the penultimate race of the regular season, the second to last race for these drivers. And this is crunch time. The top 16 in points move on to that of the playoffs. If you got to win, you're also going to be finding yourself locked in. And currently, right now, in the bubble position is going to be Raul, that of Jose Luis Rivera, as well as Raul Meza. With Raul Meza, I don't believe I saw Meza on this course. No, he is going to be 24th for the 93. Excuse me, just missed them on my ticker. But there's a couple of other drivers, Chris Cinnamon, Logan Quinn, Keith Haney, that were drivers that were looking like they needed to have a perfect final 2 races of the regular season to make it into the playoffs. And they're going to need a miracle, and this is the track to get it done, as qualifying officially done. Kevin, we're about to get gridded up. This is going to be a fun one. 85 laps for these drivers here at Daytona.
Yeah, now is butterfly time, right? These drivers are about to be called to the grid. They're going to sit there and start to run through their strategy of the race, make a decision. Some of them may not even know what they're going to do, but it's about to be time for the bell to ring for the fight, and these drivers are going to make the call here on the grid. We'll see what's going to happen.
It's Daytona. Anything could happen in taking your Blanchard Towing Pull Award. It's going to be that of the 81 of Taylor Peacock. To his outside for row number 1. It's going to be the 29 of Keith Bradley. It's going to be the driver to watch out for. 2 super speedways been ran before. Keith Bradley's been the victor of both of them. Mr. Consistent on the hot streak. It's Ted Wade in the 2. Going to be on the inside of row number 2 with Ed Osborne in the 42 to his outside. Row 3, we find that of Huck Wigington, as well as other very consistent driver of Stephen Thomas. Going to be trying to find himself in victory lane. Dana Shepard in the 43, needing a good run here tonight with Jose Luis Rivera, the bubble driver. Going to be at that on the outside of row number 4. Then we got that of Devin Painter, as well as outside looking in, Logan Quinn, finishing out your row number 5, top 10. Over to you, Kevin.
Row 6 inside is Adam Kenwell in the number 63. To his outside, Zach Hardwick in the number 88, starts 12th. 13th starting spot for Tyler Dittmer in the 34. And to his right is going to be Jacob Klinkhardt in the number 5. Row 8 going to be made up of Brady LaBeouf and Torrey Thompson in the number 96. Row 9 inside, Eric Zimmerman in the 94. To his outside, Robert Richards in the number 48, starts 18th. It is Chris Cinnamon in the number 3 inside row 10, 20th starting spot for Michael McKinnon in the 13.
Then we're going to find that of Derek Kilgore in the 11, starting out row number 11 with James Morris in the 47 to his outside. Row number 12 going to be that of Brandon Bullock in the 17, as well as Rule Meza, who's going to come in 15 points. Needs a good run here tonight. Row number 13 finds that of Justin Lumpkin in the 87, and that of Dane Hagan in the 39. Row number 14 gives us Joey Doucette, as well as our winner who's won at Watkins Glen, looking for more victories. It's going to be that of Blake Lothian in the 59. Row 15 going to find that of Jeffrey Sickles, as well as Adam Newbert in the 4. In these last couple of rows, going to be finding ourselves with that of Stephen Gregory, as well as Kyle Hess. Last 2 rows going to be that of our full sitter from Talladega, but did not put a time down, Trey Pitts, as well as Cody Knott. And coming out at the end, it's going to be that of TJ Moore, as well as Clint Meta. Going to be your last row of the evening. 36 drivers, technically 35, as TJ Moore's going to be your race control. But here, Kevin, we still have 3 stages as usual. Stage 1 is going to be at the conclusion of lap 12. Stage 2 at lap 28. Very quick stints. What are you expecting in these first 12 laps?
Yeah, I think the number 1 job for these drivers is not to get in trouble here tonight. And I believe we're going to see a conservative first part of the stage. But then again, I know some of these drivers are looking for stage points. So I expect business to pick up a little bit when we get near the first stage at lap number 12.
How patient can you be? How aggressive? Some drivers know it's better to stay in the back. I like the call from Adam Newbert, as well as Gregory. Stay in the back. Maybe they got a bit different chance to go after tonight's race. But this is it, the penultimate race of the regular season for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. It's the Blanchard Towing 200 here at Daytona. Pace truck is off, and we are green, heading down into turn number 1, and it's going to be Peacock, that of Pete Bradley, your front 2 down into turn 1.
Trucks wind out through the gears and head to turn number 1. They're side by side, as expected. Nobody able to break up at this point. The low line starting to form. Outside line, typical to see drivers dive down to the bottom. Little check up there right in the middle with the 00 of Wigington. See a couple drivers blowing out of line here, Sam.
Blown out of line, and this is the strategy. Lap 1, if you try to qualify well, sometimes you decide, you know what, I'm just going to fall to the back. It's maybe a little bit too aggressive up front. And also what's interesting, we're seeing drivers that we haven't talked about up front very often this season. Ed Osborne, Zach Hartwick, drivers that we have not touched on a lot, because when we go to traditional racetracks, they're usually back in 20th to 26th position. Well, it's Daytona, it's racing. You've got the best opportunity to be up front, and lap 1 going to be going to that of Taylor Peacock in the 81. And Kevin, that's a big thing, I think, for these drivers, is you kind of have to get reset and get reused to some of the drivers that you traditionally don't see for most of the season.
Yeah, I think another tale of the tape here is that a couple of these drivers know this is probably their best shot to get a win and get themselves into the championship hunt. Daytona, as we said from the outset, is one of those wide open races. And, you know, why not Mix it up a little bit. Let's see what you can get. Maybe you'll get yourself a win, and then you can bust yourself open in the final part of the season.
Is on the high side. Ed Osborne in the 42. Great push and run here from the 88 of Zach Hartwick, as well as to have Devin Painter in the 64. Giving a great run, and this is the one thing that I love about these trucks. Even when we were going through the topsy-turvy aero packages that iRacing was giving these last, I would say, year now, it's been great to see the trucks have always kind of had this type of typical racing side-by-side up front. You have to pick and choose where you want to place yourself. And sometimes we see three wide. Know that you cannot cross under the double yellow underneath it and advance your positioning. Now that we're racing under green, and we were able to see it during qualifying because there was no true advancement. But here during actual racing conditions, you cannot pass under the double yellow. But could see three, potentially four wide racing. And oh boy, already in the wall, going to be seeing trouble. I believe that's going to be the 93, and it is Rule Meza into the wall, and now trying back to 19th place.
Yeah, a dynamic that we have not talked about is you just have to keep the truck clean. Cannot deal with any damage to the side, and especially the nose. Maybe you can take a little dink on the back of the truck, but you know, here these drivers, especially early on, it's lap 4. You need to make sure you're not getting into the wall.
And also the different strategy calls, drivers that are up front. They always, if you're willing to stay side by side, your goal is to be up leading this pack. For other drivers, the one that I like the strategy a little bit more of is faltering back. Just linger, wait until the race is over. That's what we got for the majority of the drivers that are going to be that of 21st position on back. Keith Bradley lies, but up front, still aggressive. And that outer lane of Ed Osborne and Hartwick, they're doing a great job. Osborne finds himself clear, dropping down low in the peak cut.
And nobody able to break out, and I'm surprised that the drivers have kind of stayed up to that top line to the high side and staying organized enough to be able to be competitive. We see the run here off of turn number 2 is, you know, looks like Hardwick able to draw alongside with the push from Painter. And what a good run for Osborne early on here in lap 5. We don't typically see him running up front, although he's had some solid races. And that butt kicker truck looks pretty solid tonight, running out in the bottom lane.
It's looking fantastic right now, doing a great job running on that inner lane. But that outside, Devin Painter really giving a shove to Hartwick, trying to get the 88 in front and clear. As well, just want to give note of Chris Cinnamon missing out on the starting grid. I think he was expecting an early yellow at the start of this race. The 3, really conservative in the fact that he started on pit road instead of with everyone on grid.
Last time by, Hardwick picks up the lead. He's going to lead him at the stripe, lap number 6. And let's see if that's, I believe that might be the first lap he's led this season.
Zach Hartwick certainly has been a driver that's shown pace at the super speedways. Also, some of the mile and a half have been quite good for himself. But yeah, I do not believe that he has led a lap before. But as you've looked at that, Kevin, what have you found on that of Hartwick?
Yeah, led 4 laps so far on the season, so that'd be lap number 5. He led a little bit earlier in the season, but we have not seen him run up front. It's got to feel good to be looking out that windshield and not see anybody in front of you.
And as well, did I lead another one? So now we've counted up to 6 for that of Zach Hartwick. Ed Osborne, another driver that we haven't really talked about being up front, but as we see drivers, we've seen a lot of bobbling in the line as well, a lot of bobbling. And Kevin, it's not a lot of runs. Again, lap 12 is when we'll see our first stage break for these drivers. Only the top 10 will get those positionings, but as a lead driver, how difficult is it to be just holding steady and run a stable line?
Yeah, it's not very easy. You see how much these trucks move around. From the long camera shots, it looks like, you know, they're kind of wobbling a little, but when you're inside the truck, it's really nervous. Every once in a while, you swing down to the truck inside of you or up to the truck above you. They're given a lot of room as they come through the corner here. You could just see that wide open gap between the rows. Eventually, the top truck will want to pinch that truck down in order to hold it back a little bit. And it's nerve-wracking to be up there in the front, running nose to tail and wobbling all over in the air.
all the wobbling if you're a lead driver. You've also got the drivers behind who are kind of get zoned in to just focus on the back bumper, always trying to stay aligned, and that's why it kind of turns into a snaking motion of everyone following one another. Everyone's following the truck up in front, which can cause everyone to just follow the line, wobbling, just trying to stay centered. That outer lane, they've got to be careful as a couple of drivers got close to the outer wall. We saw Rula Mesa in the 93 touch the outer wall, but luckily he's been able to rebound up to 14th now is the 93, but that outside damage could be something to watch out for. Then Bonjour is going to drop up to the high line, not wanting to give up any more space, and looking like, hey, let's get a little bit blocked defensive here on the outer lane, and maybe potentially trying to set up a defensive move to make sure that he's up front as we are coming to the end here of stage number 1 at the end of lap 12.
I'll tell you what's nerve-wracking. You come down the back straightaway and you're drafting the truck in front of you. You're looking in the mirror at the truck behind you to see whether you're going to get run over. And every once in a while you have that moment where you catch yourself off guard, where you get that run on the truck and you almost have to tap the brake in order not to run into him. It happens at least once a race, and you know, you start to see that accordion effect if somebody checks up a little bit. And especially at the end of the race when everybody's running tight, trying to find some draft to see if they can pull out and get a pass as we're coming to the end of the stage, you start to see that dynamic come into play, and hopefully nobody's going to tag someone and turn sideways in front of you.
Yeah, and this front back still staying side by side. And you also saw the second group led by that Lotto 7 back in 21st position. They're all single filed out, making sure they're giving each other plenty of space, not wanting to really be as racy as our leaders have been. 2 laps to go here in stage number 1. Only the top 10 positions get these bonus points, and right now that 10th place spot would go to that of Jacob Klinhart in the 5, who's running down low. But this 10 up front, they're still pretty racy, especially our front 6 that are willing to be right on top of one another. And every point is so important for these drivers and bonus points, especially for that of Jose Luis Rivera in second place currently right now for the 97, second truck on the inside. That also can be said for Logan Quinn, who's outside looking in, needing every single bonus point possible. And, you know, also Zach Hartwig and Devin Painter, drivers that are just trying to solidify their positioning as they go into Bristol in that of a few weeks. Next week is not going to be a Bristol race as they're rooking to the lead back hard into the wall. Doing Dicker as well as that James Morris bringing out the yellow here before we hit the stage. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, Kevin, in the tri-oval, chaos reigns.
Yeah, such an unfortunate event. It is difficult to get through that tri-oval. It's a turn, and every once in a while you maybe clip the apron or tag somebody, and that was a pretty big hit as we go to the Pulse Popper replay for a couple trucks there.
Part of the wall there is going to be Huck Wigginson and others. And Huck, we saw there, the bright green, there's nowhere to go. This is going to be James Morris in the 47, who's going to have a ride. And it's going to be Dittmer and Morris, going to be the drivers to watch out for here as they come at turn 4. Kevin, I mean, at this point, you're just following the driver in front of you, hoping for the best. But the tri-oval, a sneaky area where things can get loose, a little chaotic, and just like that, there they go.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it was, but somebody on the top line got tagged. The truck got sideways, came across, collected Morris, and then it was game on from there.
And just like that, the driver's having issues, but this is technically going to count as our stage. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more racing action for stage number 2 here for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland, and for the second year in a row, the Community Radio Network is excited to also be the voice of iRacing on LSRTV every Monday and Thursday night with the Northwest Racing Series for Cup and Truck. Join yours truly, Justin Prince and Samuel Dyer, every week as they race towards a championship. We're also on the radio in the Triangle, in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area at 87.5 WCRN, and anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. Click play. Check out the coverage, the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, esports style. We are the Community Radio Network, the voice of iRacing on LSR TV. Check it out when you can, and replays are always up too.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it?
They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the NASRA Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series Season 4, race number 13, the penultimate race of the regular season. The pressure is on, and drivers need the maximum amount of points here tonight as Stage 1 has concluded, and our Stage 1 break going to be sponsored by that of Sim Racer Hub. If you're looking to get yourself set up with all the best data on past leagues, current leagues, Sim Racer Hub is your one-stop shop for all that information. As up front, going to be that of Jose Luis Rivera, Jacob Fleekart, as well as that of Danish Shepard, as well as going to be seeing Michael McKinnon, Joey Doucette, Derek Kilgore, as well as Stephen Gregory, Brady LaBeouf, Logan Quinn, and Taylor Peacock going to be your top 10 drivers. We had some just come in with fuel, some just come in for tires, and getting themselves situated. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Kevin England, LSRTV Studios in the background, giving you all the best camera works here tonight as you are watching the Blanchard Towing 200 here at Daytona. Drivers are stacked up. We're ready to go green flag racing, and we are excited to see how this is going to go down. Stage 1 was concluded on that of lap 12. Stage 2 will conclude on lap 28. We're going to try to get the overlays up as soon as possible. We'll give you updates on what lap we're on as they cross the line. As we see the pace truck goes off, we are green as it is the start of lap 15 for the drivers here tonight.
Big run for the 97 down there. He's going to come down to the bottom. Here comes the 43 to the high side. You got the 5 running right behind him with Jacob Fleekart. So Luis Rivera out front in the 97. Danish Shepard in the 43. Jacob Fleekart and Joey Doucette makes his appearance in the top 5 for the first time.
Shepard obviously was not, Joey Doucette was not a fan of Shepard. Absolutely getting wicked was that 43, and given the opportunity for that of Joey Doucette to move forward. And also going to be seeing Michael McKinnon, a driver that we haven't seen for a while, at 13. Going to be on the outer lane, but in our front 2, going to be Jose Luis Rivera, Jacob Fleekart, trying to get as many points as possible as the drivers come across the line. Start of lap 16 out of 85. The goal to be in the top 10 on lap 28. That is when our next stage break is. Currently, it is the 97 and the 5, leading down low. Going to be leading both lanes as Fleekart moves up to the higher lane.
Yeah, Fleekart has a good run there with number 13 behind him. And, yeah, you just look at how hard these guys are running right now. I'm kind of surprised to see that, Sam. There's some drivers just riding out in the back. I'm looking, for example, at Blake Lothian. We've not talked about him all night long. Good to see him come back in to the series. He knows how to run really well at these tracks. He's riding seconds, if not, 30 seconds off the back of this pack, just cruising around.
Yeah, just giving himself plenty of space, not wanting to be involved just in case a wreck happens. We've got ourselves in 24th position on back, all just in cruise control up front. This is the start of lap 17. Going to be Michael McKinnon leading at 13. Joey Doucette on the outside. That's 61. It's going to be Stephen Gregory, who is having some internet issues, hoping that it can stall out. But that outer lane going to be finding the 61, trying to give a bump to the 16, which is was really interesting to watch. The drivers, I've talked about them, talked to them in a lot of different series, and they all say the same thing. These back bumpers, the front bumpers, they don't match up exact. You gotta just trust when you give someone a bump track that they're not gonna just completely get out of control as we're coming up to lap 18 when they cross the line.
Yeah, I see a little blink there in the number 61 up to the high side, and that's got to be nervous to the 43 Dana Shepherd as Gregory blinking in and out. You know, we were talking about the connection. When the driver hits you from behind, you just hope they hit you square and not on one of those sweeps left, sweep right from the air, because they can turn you in just a moment. And you're also yelling at the driver if they're banging on your back bumper going through the corners. You just don't want to get that contact. And you see, for example, the 61 tucked down low below the 16 at one point. If he makes contact there, he's going to turn Doucette sideways. And you know, for Dana Shepherd in the 43 seeing that truck blink, he just needs to know that the 61's going to run wide open. Give the space, truck length in front, ride along, don't get panicked about it, and eventually they'll have a conversation with him, and maybe Gregory will pull out a line.
Trying to see who's going to work with Dew. Start of lap 19 as the drivers went across the line there. Again, stage 2 going to be on lap 28 for these drivers. So the goal is to stay up front, as we are now 10 laps to go in this stage. We're going to be seeing up front on the outside Michael McKinnon, as well as that Jacob Klinkhardt on the outside. Going to be Joey Doucette and Stephen Gregory. That is going to be the 97 Jose Luis Rivera. Third truck on the inside, and that is going to be the 11 of Derek Kilgore in 6th place, doing well. And Shepherd in 43 in 7th on the outside.
Yeah, don't look now. The driver who went for the spin cycle in qualifying has made his way up into the top 10. Brady LeBron running his 9 in number 9, the moving forward Chevrolet, just quietly moving his way into the top 10, pace himself in that high line, following the 43 of Shepherd. To the bottom, he's got the 42 of Ed Osborne, who showed a lot of strength here earlier. Sam, is he going to be a player in this race? We're going to have to watch and see.
Also, we just saw there a great picture. You noted on it as, oh boy, it's going to be seeing Gregory going down low. I think was informed to get out of the racing line. And now going to be driving all the way to the back is the 61. But we saw through turns 1 and 2, Joey Doucette showing off what you were talking about earlier of pinching the drivers, on being a lead outside driver going down, trying to make some moves, and Jake Klinkhardt to the outside, trying to make a move on his own. Here comes Luis Rivera, a little bit of contact for the lead as they start lap 21 of an 85, but the goal is stage 2 break at the end of lap 28. Still got a few laps to get to that point, but Devin, there's still, stage 2's been a lot racier than stage 1.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Klinkhardt has come up 13 positions to lead this pack, having a good run so far. And you know, I think this is really about maximizing your chance. You got to get up front. It's hard to drive through at the end of the stage. You got to get there early and then protect. And you see some of these drivers being a little aggressive more than we saw at the start of the race. I really believe it has to do with stage points.
Yeah, stage 1 seems to be very important. Oh boy, a little bit of a defensive move there by McKinnon. Going to be forcing that of seeing. Going to be moving up. Going to be that of Jose Luis Rivera, the very colorful scheme. Luckily didn't get to that outside wall, but these very aggressive moves kind of signs that we could see the same familiar ending of how stage 1 went, of a wreck coming to the next. It would be the white flag of stage 1 that brought out our first yellow. Kevin, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens here. Lap 22 when the drivers are on, as it's Klinkhardt. They're going to be on the inside as well. Second truck on the inside, Joey Doucette. Then on the outside, Michael McKinnon for third. Fourth, Derek Kilgore. And Jose Luis Rivera is going to be in that fifth place position. Here's going to be our standby ticker for now, as the drivers are racing it out through 3 and 4.
Yeah, you see Doucette tucked right in behind on that second position, low line. Last time by, he clipped the apron there at the start-finish line. The truck was yawed out about 30, 40 degrees. He was able to collect it when he came back up into the banking and keep it going. And he just never lifted. Now he jumps to the outside to see whether or not he could take that position. As he's going to lead the train and see if he can drive around Klinkhardt and lead the next lap.
Car, Joey Doucette, as we are on lap 23. We now get a line of where the drivers are on track. We'll keep you updated on what lap we're on, as right now, Joey Doucette, Car, they've done a great job of staying up front. Same can be said for Jacob McKinnon on this last restart. Kilgore has done a fabulous job of just staying low and letting everyone else make the big moves. The 11 just patiently starts to move up every position and now finds himself being the second truck on the inside.
Everybody's got lap 28 on the mind, working lap number 23 as they come across the stripe, and it is going to be Clinkart once again leading that lap on the inside line with the number 11 of Derek Kilgore in tow. As the bottom line seems to have good form in the outside lane. They've got 4 trucks, but they're going to need a couple more if they're going to be competitive to push around this low line.
I also want to give note, Huck Wigington, who was involved in the first wreck of the evening, back on lap number 11. The 00 has parked it and is done. 24 drivers still technically in the server, but 33 on track, as 32 are on the lead lap. 10 waiting for the last driver on the lead lap currently in that of 32nd position. But up front, a lot of jostling still going on as we're coming up to that of lap 25. See it on our top left ticker. That is where the laps are now. Lap 28 is the goal for stage number 2. Top 10 get bonus points. If you're leading, you get the most bonus points with 10. If you're in that 10th place position, you get 1, and it goes down to 1.5 position. As still that of Jacob Clinkart, who has won this race before in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. He's hoping he can do it once again. And what a way to really change your momentum for Jacob Clinkart, who has not been a driver really a focus going for wins each week. But hey, when you come to the super speedway races, Kevin, everyone's got an opportunity.
Yeah, and Clinkart, if you've won, you get that confidence, and he's going to try and reel him in with that Shimano Chevrolet, and he's just doing whatever he can to try and stay ahead here and score those bonus points. And looking back at these trucks, right about the 8th, 9th, 10th position, you see Tyler Dittmer trying to break in there. He's in the 11th spot and just looking for any opportunity, any hole in that number 34. Right behind him, he's got Devin Painter also trying to find the run. And, you know, you look at this front group, what is there, about 18 trucks? And anybody in that 18 group of 18 can come up here and see if they can get a top 10 finish in just a couple laps.
These drivers racing as hard as they can. Lap down are going to be at the top left for the drivers. 2 laps to go for themselves. Jacob Clinkart is going to be leading the way, but as for these drivers that are from 10th on back to 18th in this lead pack, I would say now is your time to go. You don't kick off now, you're not going to get those bonus points. If you're in the top 5, top 10, you still got an opportunity, but the question is, how racy do you want to be coming to the, technically would be the white flag for these drivers?
Yeah, pretty darn racy, but certainly there's only one thing you could do, which is jump out of line, go up into that 3rd line. If there's nothing there, you got to get the good run here off of turn number 4. Right now they're 2x2x2. Doesn't look like anybody has the opportunity. They're going to come across the stripe in that format.
Well, there's going to be a lap car in front of him. That's going to be Ted Wade, who is going to be hoping that he doesn't get caught. Most likely will. So he'll just be giving the lucky dog as long as he's not involved in a wreck here as we're riding on board. The outside contact's going to be made. Joey Doucette spins him. Cars are collaborating with one another. And once again, end of the stage, more drivers involved. Jose Luis Rivera and others continue to get piled in. A little bit of deja vu from stage 1 to stage 2. Carnage coming to the end of the stage.
Wow, that's just incredible. And there were some big hits there. It really looked like that started maybe with the 11 of Kilgore, broke loose, went sideways. Doucette, massive punch into that as we do the pulse pop replay. You see drivers just doing whatever they can. And I'm thinking that might have been a tap gone wrong coming up out of the corner.
It's just that aggressiveness. And there's Logan Quinn, another driver that could have needed so many points. here tonight, have an opportunity going into next week, and there's a new huge pile of drivers with required damage adding to the fold. Huck Wigington and James Morris were already drivers that needed to get damage repaired for themselves. Now that of Clint Mata, as well as Joey Doucette, Logan Quinn, Jose Luis Rivera, and Michael McKinnon, all drivers that are going to be forced into pit road and have to get required damage for themselves. And that is going to be the conclusion of stage number 2. Stage 2 going to be again sponsored by Sim Racer Hub for your stage break. And our top 10 drivers going to get those stage bonus points: Jacob Klinkhardt, Ed Osborne, Robert Richards, as well as that of Trey Pitts, Devin Painter, Tyler Dittmer, that of Brady LaBeouf, that of Steve Thomas, as well as Kyle Hess, and going to be that Dana Shepard. Top 10 drivers getting those bonus points, as I believe some of the drivers actually might be still shuffling around. So we'll see again as they come into pit road. Actually, Stephen Thomas is going to be in 10th place as everyone else moves up one spot. But into pit road, no surprise, everyone comes in, Kevin.
Yeah, they'll roll down to their pits, probably take 4 and fuel. Track position not going to be that big of a deal here, but yet you want to keep it. And you know, we had mentioned there were 18 trucks in that lead draft coming back to that championship stage, and some of the drivers who were out, all of a sudden, like LaBeouf, he was off the back end of that, finds himself getting some points. So you never know how that's going to play out, as you can see the shuffle. And really what happens here is drivers flip around. Is some take 2, some take none, some take 4, some getting damage fixed, and that just, like shuffling a deck of cards, sets everything up. And it's going to be Richards with the shortest time, and he'll come out and probably assume the lead here as they catch up to the pace truck.
Yeah, Robert Richards going to go with 2 tires for the 48, with also Jacob Klinkhardt going with 4 tires, Eric Zimmerman going with fuel only, and also 5th place runner, that of Brandon Bullock, going to be taking fuel only. And the rest of the field going to be taking 4 tires and fuel. But the number that's a little bit more shocking, 20th position on back. All were drivers that were involved in some fashion with that incident, and all having to get damage repair of some sort, meaning we're going to have 19 drivers that are looking good to be racing as hard as they can. But if you also count that first wreck, we're down to potentially only about 17 trucks that are at full song and have 0 damage for themselves.
Yeah, and you look at that incident over there, and you got to feel for someone like Kilgore, who was looking to make a good night out of this. Doucette, he's got a win already. He won at IRP earlier this year. And, you know, he can afford to have a little bit of trouble after his win in March. But the rest of those drivers, they just needed to come away. And, you know, you cannot get the win if you don't run hard. And to the point we were trying to get stage points, we were trying to put ourselves in a position for winning. And a couple of them had bit him here tonight.
A couple of other drivers, I just want to give note that they're going to be giving EOLs if they get back out on track. Joey Doucette and Eric Kilgore, both drivers are going to be having an end of the line of penalties being involved with that incident. So we'll see how they're going to be reacting. If, like I said, if they get back out on track, Eric Kilgore is out on track, going to be the last car on the lead lap. He'll just be moving all the way to the back for himself, and for Joey Doucette, still in pit road with extreme damage. Up front, it's going to be that of Robert Richards, that of Jacob Klinkhardt, Eric Zimmerman, Devin Painter, Kyle Hess, Trey Pitts, as well as Stephen Thomas, Brady LaBeouf, Dad Taylor Peacock, and Ed Osborne going to be your top 10. But this is interesting to see because there's some drivers here, Kevin, that you think back to the last Super Speedway race. I know I wasn't in the booth for that one, but there's still some drivers that were strong at Talladega that are looking good here to start out this final stage. No more stage breaks. It's all about racing it to the end. That are looking good for themselves, such as that of Trey Pitts.
Yeah, there's just something about this type of racing that suits some of these drivers. They can see the wind, so to speak, and other drivers like Logan Quinn, who we saw spinning off into the runoff area, just can't catch a break. I feel for Logan. He's had such a strong run on so many occasions, only to be collected in somebody else's mess, and he's going to be out of this event. Well, you'll have to watch from the sidelines as the pace truck's going to come by. They're going to turn the field over to Richards and Klinkhardt to restart it. No stage racing now. Now it's just heads down and hammer down to go get yourself a win here at Daytona.
And Eric Zimmerman, who's on those older tires, a little bit of wheel spin for the 94 machine that was down low, which is going to hurt that of Robert Richards. The outer lane got that Devin Painter and also Blinker are going to be working with one another, and already the 5 drops down low. Does not even want to wait for them. Here they go, taking off as well as watch out for that 27 truck. Trey Pitts found himself getting the pole position back at Talladega, had a strong run there before that of Kyle, seeing that of Keith Bradley come away with the win. So there's some strong trucks that are shown that they've got some speed. Others that have been involved in wrecks earlier, some that have been patient, now recognizing it is go time, especially with the fact that we've only got ourselves 24 trucks on the lead lap. The majority of them are going to be up front, trying to pressure and stay up front. But now's the fun of with racing this out. If we don't see a yellow come out, we are expecting green flag pit stops, Kevin, which that we know for sure is going to shake up the field of where they're driving.
Yeah, and I'm so impressed with that St. Louis, Missouri driver, Jacob Blanchard. He has signaled to these guys he's here for business. Coming down and covered the 48 of Richards. I like the position of being on that bottom line. You're going to be right along those yellow lines. You can't face to the left. Most of the trucks like to run the bottom, which means it typically has some momentum, but you certainly cannot take it away from Painter and Pitts, LaBeouf, and others on that high line. If they can drive up, though, typically, unless they don't want to leave their drafting partner, Sam, they will come up, get in front of the first truck and pull down because they want to be at the bottom, too.
Want to be the lead driver and feel like they've got the control. That's, you know, when you're on the inside, you're leading that lane, you know where you're going to be. You're just going to stay low, stay confident, and secure. That outer lane is so unpredictable. At times, you can be the faster of two lanes that are running. But at the same time, if you see, you know, dispersing and that whole entire outer lane kind of just fizzle away, we're losing ground and going the wrong direction. As here comes that of Pitts and Devin Painter on the outside, trying to get some help from last season's champion, Brady LaBeouf in the 9. But also, drivers got to be careful. Well, think back to stage 1, there was so much space between the outside and inside lane.
Yeah.
Already, they're trying to bounce off one another here. We're not even past halfway.
Yeah, and you see a little gap behind like 10th, 11th. Some of those drivers back there said, you boys have at it. I'll just hang back here. When you crash, I'll be on the blinders and hoping somebody isn't going to run me over, and I'll win this thing a little bit later. It always amazes me with all the laps that are left, how hard some of these drivers run on the stages.
I mean, I'm always scratching my head whenever I see drivers racing this hard. At the same time, it makes sense. When I talk to some of the drivers that love to be aggressive up front, you always hear the same wrestling of, we kind of get bored in the lack of focus when we linger back. Also, when you're up front being this aggressive, it gives you time. You can try and test, you know, different moves. Do I need to be, you know, making the pass coming out of turn 4? Can I make a pass going into turn 3 and still hold the lead? What are the type of moves that I can do? And this is what that first half of the race kind of gives you. Also, stage 1 and stage 2, the opportunity to test, you know, moments. At the same time, get too aggressive with your test, you can be throwing your race away, like we've seen other drivers that are officially done, like Logan Quinn, Mata, and Huck Whittington, all officially out of this race. And we'll see how many other drivers are able to survive and make it on, as that of Blanchard and Robert Richards. Got to be careful. They're bump drafting, and we saw this bring out our second caution of a misstep on the bump drafting. You've got to make sure you're lined up perfectly, or you could be turning and causing the next big one.
Yeah, some of these drivers, they're just testing who they're going to work with. If the 5 sees that the 48 pushes really well, then Blanchard is going to like Richards behind him for that final stint. They're all building a notebook right now. And I'd like to have that look left moment as they come down the front straightaway. We look to the left and see who's running right off the back of this pack. I see Dittmer back there, who's been in the mix all night long, Sam, but now that there's no stage points on, he's kind of hanging off the back as we see the dog off the back of Devin Painter. You have Lothian, you have Lumpkin. Haven't talked about Justin tonight. Newbert in the 4, who's run strong all season long, hunting for that win. You got multi-time winner Wade back there. And how about the animal, Bradley, running 17th right now? Very quiet for him.
Yeah, and also Peter Evans found himself in victory lap multiple times this season, and both of them being at super speedway tracks, trying to sweep the super speedways by winning here tonight. Say that he's won all three. The first one was at iRacing Super Speedway, the second at Talladega, trying to take the crown jewel here at Daytona International Speedway. And right now, watching this field, this lead group, I'm so impressed by all the drivers that are up here. But the driver I'm most impressed about, got to be in 11th place, Raul Meza in the 93. Somehow still in this race, attached to that lead pack. He's a little bit further back than I think some of the other drivers would like. That 93, first driver I gave note of getting into the outside wall and still finding the speed to run up front. And I like to follow kind of being a little further back. I'm losing the draft here just slightly, but just close enough. And if he wants to just full throttle and catch up to this lead group, he can. At the same time, he can drop back and get away with it because there is a wreck from our front 10.
Yeah, he has the benefit of the trucks running side by side in front of him, which is going to punch a big enough hole for him to be able to hang on there, even if he had a little bit of damage. The worst thing that could happen for him is if they singled out, then they'd probably drive away from him. And they got to give a call to Eric Zimmerman. We don't typically talk about him hunting around in the top 10 here. He's solidly in 50. He had a little bit of a scare going into turn one a moment ago. The truck pushed really hard going into the corner. And I'll tell you what, you do not get a break at this place, Sid. You have got to be on the wheel the whole time.
I mean, absolutely, Eric Zimmerman planning his best finish of the year. Going to be back at iRacing Speedway, where he found a 10th place finish, his only top 10 finish of the year as drivers. Dropping low, getting out of the way, and that's going to be Joey Doucette getting back out on course. But this lead group getting a little bit more antsy, which is also going to give a little bit more space, and it seems like drivers want to catch up to this lead pack. Gonna be those drivers from 12th on back, being led by Keith Bradley and Ted Wade. They want to get moving, and they want to be the lead driver now, as they're now going to be on the outer lane, and a little bit of dicing as Devin Painter, Clinkhart, they might have pushed themselves a little bit too far, because here comes the run from the drivers on the outside.
It almost seems like they're unhappy that Painter got there. they are pushing the envelope here, coming through the trial, as you see Painter. They're tucked right in tight to him. 48 of Richards trying to make that high side work. And you know, the good news for them is that drivers up to the high side have not abandoned that lane. It's been pretty strongly supported. Typically this stage of the race where maybe they'll take a breather and ride, you see drivers come down and run that low line and the top line falls apart. They're still all up there hustling on that top side.
And this is now when things are going to get a little bit dicier, because we went from a pack of that 11 drivers officially, you know, with the whole entire draft and everyone that's together, we went from 10 to now officially 22 drivers are all attached with the draft with one another. Yes, some big pockets, but still the draft is about at 1 second. If you're within a second, you're still getting that draft help. And Brady LaBeouf, Cal S, they made that outer lane work. Now they're going to be leading that inside lane. Now on the outside, going to be Mark Holsitter and Taylor Peacock, finding help from that of the two, Ted Wade, and as well the super speedway phenom. It's been Keith Bradley trying to get himself back into victory lane once more.
And what we were just saying a moment ago, they were back there running what, about 18th, and now all of a sudden they're out there in that high line, second, third in line. As you see Wade tucked back, I'm not sure if he was looking for Peacock to be out front. Maybe he's a little bit faster, but it goes to show it doesn't matter where you're racing in this stack. If you could find the right dance partners, you could drive yourself up to the front, and Wade all of a sudden is now in the top 5.
I mean, since we've been watching this lead group, is there a driver that you pick out and say, hey, these are the 2-3 drivers that I want to behind me, or are there drivers that you're like, you know what, I'm willing to push them, they're going to pull me to the lead?
So far, the duo that stands out is Richards and Clinkhart. 48 and the 5 seem to be working really well tonight together, and I believe wherever one goes, the other is going to follow. And at the end of the race, when you're looking for a dance partner, there's no questions about where that's going to happen. I think you'll find those two zip to each other if they can make it that far.
I think it also another one that we got to keep our eyes on once we get into the later stages of this race. Tyler Ditmer, Stephen Thomas, those two drivers are going to be the ones in my eyes that if we get into a longer run and they're still in this lead pack, they're running back at 14 to 15, one of the last runners of this lead group. But as this run continues on, we're also going to have to keep our eyes out on when they want to come into pit road. We are past halfway between the drivers. Pretty low up, Kyle Lamb, Trey Pitts, as well as Devin Painter are going to be our top 4. With that of Taylor Peacock, Robert Richards, Jake Linkart, Ted Wade, and Osborne, and Keith Bradley for top 10 currently. But with Super Speedway Racing, it doesn't really matter where you're running now. It can change in an instant, and if you're running in 10th to when you're running in 5th with side-by-side racing. Here comes Devin Painter, Taylor Peacock with the run out of turn 4, trying to take the lead through the triangle, wasn't able to do it. They're at least going to be side-by-side for second.
We could see that the top line just fell apart. Everybody kind of did what we were talking about earlier. Maybe they wanted a breather. They pulled down only those 4 trucks. They're testing the outside. They have enough speed, but not enough to drive up and around LaBeouf at this point. As soon as I say that, of course, they get a good run with Devin Painter. I'll tell you, the truck that looks to show the most speed here tonight, for whatever reason, making the right moves, Peacock, that number 81 truck just seems stout here in this track.
Peacock, as well as Ed Osborne, back to 8. That 42 truck is looking strong as well. Both the drivers that qualified well. Ed Osborne qualified 4th. Peacock taking their Blanchard Towing full award here tonight. These are going to be drivers that really have some great speed for themselves. As right on board on the out on that of the 81, Taylor Peacock was giving a great shove with that of Devin Painter, but pretty low up. That inner lane from the center of the corner just getting such a better run, but it's on the exit and on the straightaways. Here they come from that of the Speed Money machine. It's going to be Taylor Peacock trying to give Painter the advantage, and will do so halfway through the backstretch.
Yeah, when they get to turn 3 and 4, you would expect the lower line to be able to sneak ahead. As much as they get a good run up off the corner, the low line typically prevails out of 4, and whoever's in that shot, which is LaBeouf, is going to lead coming back to the stripe. As you know, the other thing that tends to lead to this is drivers start to think, well, I need to pit. At some point I'm going to need to pit, and I'm going to want to do that for the bottom line. And they're willing to get out of the madness and tuck in there and get ready. I think this is the stage where you find out who's going to work with who, because when you go to pit road, you're going to want a dance partner coming off. Hope they don't mess things up. And we have to be careful, you know, it is complicated. Add speed to get off of the racetrack, get slowed down, not lose speed, not speed on pit road, get in your pit box, not slide through. We're almost to that point where a key complex of this race is going to happen.
That's if we can get there, as for a second I was getting, my heart almost sank watching that outer lane. Peacock Painter, they were getting a little bit too close for my comfort. Thought we were going to see another big one up front. As drivers center of the corner and out of the corner, got to make sure they don't be getting contact as our leaders catching up to more lap traffic. That's going to be Cody Knott, the one to watch out for. But you know, watching these drivers right now, the speed certainly is in the back half of the field. Justin Lumpkin putting down the fastest lap, but it helps when you've got plenty of space to work around. And you can stay full throttle as the rest of the field had to, because the accordion effect on the entry of the corner had to back off. Speaking of backing off, there's the 26 high line. Cody Knott going a lap down, putting us 22 drivers still on the lead lap.
Yeah, heads-up driving there by Dana Shepard at 43. He pulled off the racetrack. He knew everybody was coming. Typically, when you have speed, you'll go to the high side and yield to the low line, because drivers like to hug that yellow line. He knew they were coming. He was not up to speed, so just pulled off the racetrack to the apron, and they were able to get by without incident. But it just looks so tight now. As the race goes on, that tends to be the conflict, Sam. They get tighter and tighter and tighter until it's just like a rubber band. It snaps. These drivers are, yeah, they're pushing the envelope early.
I'm getting speechless really up here. I'm so just baffled on that outer lane. They're getting so aggressive. Peacock on Devin Painter's bumper. It's just every lap, they just get more and more aggressive on how they want to bump. Do also want to give note on updates on drivers further back that were involved in our first and second caution of the night. Been a lot of drivers that have been calling it quits already. Adam Canwell, that finished there, Kilgore, as well as Zach Hartwick, that of Michael McKinnon, Logan Quinn, Clinton Mata, as well as Torrey Thompson, James Morris, and finishing out with Huck Wigington, going to be the last driver that is officially done. Joey Doucette going to be in trouble. He came in and got repairs done, got back out on the track, was racing for a bit, but now has required damage for that of the 16, who is just limping to pit road. Looks like there will be another driver calling it a night. But here we're now coming up to that of 35 laps to go here tonight. The question has to be lined for all these drivers. They've been out racing for 21 laps of green flag racing. 21 laps on this stint for tire fuel. Kevin, the question has to be, when do you come in to make this final post up?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to the final fumes, and I'm not going to take any tires. If they can pack the truck full of fuel and maybe take 2 tires, then they will do that. But my sensibility is they're going to run as far as they can. If they have to pit in the lane, they want to spend as little time as possible getting the fuel they need to go to finish, because seconds on this racetrack equal hundreds of feet, and they all know that math.
If you do give up time, this is not the time that you want to do it. That is for sure. Watching these drivers up front as we're in lap 52, going to be seen on the inner lane. Ready to love up. Devin Painter. Kyle Hess is going to be the second car on the inside lane with Adam Trey Pitts. Going to be following suit. Outer lane going to be that of Taylor Peacock. The rest of the field running strong. This lead group going to be seen attached officially. Going to be 14. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to where we find that of Tyler Dittmer and also that of Blake Lothian. And it looks like really for the best of those drivers, fast drivers back in that, I would say second pack, where we find Dittmer, Lothian, also fastest driver of the night so far, Justin Lumpkin, as well as Adam Cooper, who I even said it last week, he always finds himself up front at the end of the day. But if you find yourself losing too much ground here at this point of the race before you go into pit road, it might be too big of a gap to even try to climb up and go for a win.
Yeah, you have 8 drivers running down on the bottom and top. Drivers running on that high side. I'm impressed with the fact that they could stay there. And in fact, you see Devin Painter got such a good run that time. He's going to pull down and cover that position. Band is his dance partner there, Clint Cart. But I'm just shocked that that top line runs as well as they have. Carries that much speed.
I think there might have been a little bit of miscommunication there. I believe Hess was hoping that we would see more drivers drop down to pit road, and not enough drivers made that indication they were coming down, and Hess had to back out of it. And for that of the 86, might be even bigger issues for himself, as he has now officially lost the draft and potentially could have been overheating issues for that of Kyle Hess.
Yeah, he not only dropped off and lost some space, everybody just drove away, and he's running about 3/4 throttle down the backstretch all by himself, and certainly mechanical problems for that 86 here tonight as he rolls through turn 3, and the field is coming off turn 4.
That is something that can happen if you're in the line and if you're running too close to the driver ahead of you for too much of the duration of time, and if temperatures rise, and if they get over a certain temperature for water or oil temperature, your engine can explode, or you can be losing engine power. Seems to be the issue there for the 86, who has dropped from being up inside of our top 5, now all the way back to 22nd position. But up front, it's going to be that of Keith Bradley and others now mixing things up front. They just need a little bit of help here, Kevin. Just need a little bit of a shimmy and an opening for themselves. And now, 3 of the fastest drivers when it comes to super speedway racing are up front. Keith Bradley, Ted Wade, Chris Cinnamon. These are the 3 drivers who have been waiting and you don't want to see up front.
Yeah, they just got organized, got tucked nose to tail, and they just drove flat around everybody else here. Definitely this is a teammate style race, and it looked like that was an organized maneuver. the most impressive part is all three of them cleared and were able to pull down and cover that.
After the last incident, it just kind of made everyone, I think, checking their temps, checking their mirrors, trying to make sure everyone is safe and okay. And here comes the drivers that have been up front fast all night and trying to keep up their speed. It's going to be that Richards as well as Taylor Peacock on the outside, trying to just make a hero move with that of Trey Pitts. And you look at some of the biggest movers of the night. Trey Pitts is going to be that driver up 26 positions, qualified back in 33rd position. And Zenowell moving back up front. And I mean, this is great to see drivers that lingered back. Some qualified well, such as Keith Bradley and Ted Wade, which I love that strategy of qualifying well, then just dropping the back, letting everyone else make some poor decisions, as we saw at the end of Stage 1 and Stage 2. And now it's giving opportunities of the field to be much smaller, which means you can have a lot more control if you got a whole team working with one another on the inside lane of the outer group. Gonna be good for Richards, outside wall, more contact to be made with Pitts on the back for a Peacock, and showing one bad bump. Luckily, everyone holds on, but that could have been a lot worse if that bump was any harder.
That's astonishing that truck did not go sideways. You can see the sparks come off the right rear as it scraped against the wall. Everybody had to take a collective breath there, and he was able to soldier on and keep going. No harm, no foul. I'm sure there's well, as the truck goes by here, just a little ding on the side, but seems to be fine in the draft. And that was a wreck that just about happened and should have happened, and somehow they drove out of it.
1,000% should happen. That is big kudos to that of Richards and Peacock and everyone that was involved, able to back off immediately when that incident happened, not to fully run each other over. I know Pitts made the contact to the rear bumper, but it really wasn't too bad of a contact to Peacock's bumper, and neither of those drivers really got in too much issues, but just about a half a lap difference, and everyone is deciding, you know what, let's single file out, which is usually an indication pit stops soon to happen, and as well, a little bit of a breather after that situation that just happened on track.
And drivers will swear, you could come off of turn 2, get lined up to the truck behind them, give them a bump, mount mid straightaway when you catch them. Do it the same way 8 times in a row, and on the 9th time, for some reason, the truck turns the truck in front of them sideways, and it all looked exactly the same from the driver's seat. No rhyme or reason as to why that is, and it is known to happen, and that was a moment that should have went sideways for the 48 of Richard, but he lives to battle again.
I mean, if that had happened to Richards, I mean, he is blown up over the radio multiple times throughout this season, just the poor luck of trying to finish out these races. I would only imagine it would be a historic blow up for us in our years as broadcast team to hear. But that, we have heard a lot of frustration from the 48. He wants to make sure that he stays out of trouble, but for our front runners, Keith Bradley, I mean, there's not much we haven't said about this 29 driver when it comes to super speedway racing. He's won the 2 that have been ran so far, trying to make it 3 super speedway wins this season. I think the driver behind him, tied with the most amount of wins with 2, it's Ted Wade, who's found himself into a hot streak.
Yeah, and you have to imagine that maybe they'll ride out and back, but eventually everybody wants to find that person that knows how to get the job done, and nothing better on your resume than having won at Daytona, Talladega, the fast track side racing. And if you see that 29 going by, you're going to want to hitch yourself to the tailgate of that truck. And, well, who else but the strongest truck of 2 all season long, tucked right in. For Chris Cinnamon, he got invited to the party, and he needs a win. So you have to wonder, as much as these 2 drivers up front have won, is it Cinnamon's time to get himself notched into the win column and lock himself into the championship? There's different things going on here where drivers are trying to help each other. They'd certainly crash your mother for the win, but sometimes teammate stuff, you just don't know how it's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you just never know it for sure. And Chris Cinnamon, he's had two tapes for himself. I mean, at one end, he's had his best finish as drivers coming into pit road. It's the fan out moment where drivers all just come into pit road, and this is a wave of trucks coming in. A little bit of overshoot there by Painter and others as well coming into pit road. And luckily, it looks like the majority of the drivers made it out cleanly. except for looking at some drivers overshooting their pit stops, which pit boxes, I should say, which you do not want to do here coming into a green flag pit stop.
Hey, you saw Painter get off in the grass, but he missed the cone. I'm not sure if that's going to end up being a penalty or not, but you know, some drivers taking right side, some taking left. All the 23 down there took 4 tires. I'm kind of surprised at that, but you know, Stephen Thomas, we've not talked about him all night long. And here he is following Weaver out, and he's the second truck in line, which is one of the best things that can happen. They've broken away from that group behind him as here comes the next pack in.
Next pack going to be coming in a much smaller group, which has been known. The smaller the group, the better potentially you can come in with a lot more speed, and as well, with a lot more of a cleaner pit stop. But you still can make mistakes if you're sliding through your box, which all these drivers are hoping they don't make that mistake. But leading those that came through the first pit stop, Adam Newberg, Stephen Thomas, they are hooked up and trying to take off, but with only 2 trucks in line, could be losing time if they're not careful here. Kevin, as that lead group of Keith Bradley and others, they're now trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, Newbert and Thomas go across the stripe to complete the lap as the rest of the trucks that fitted in that second group are rolling around here on the apron. I believe this group is going to pass them by pretty cleanly. And we'll see where they blend out as not a good pit stop for the 3 of Cinnamon. We saw him get in his box well, but everybody else driving around him. He needs to get enough speed here to collect the other trucks.
A little bit of a scare there. Steve Thomas was not expecting Newberg to get out of sorts. And oh boy, here comes Mesa and others. They're going to be a little bit of a cluster accordion effect as with Newbert really just swamping and kind of making a wall. All these drivers had to get onto the binders quickly and luckily did not run each other over. But this has now added a new element to the drivers trying to get up to speed. Do not run each other over, taking out your race and anyone else. Quick replay here of an incident, and that's going to be actually Eric Zimmerman, who is having issues, and it looks like he might have had engine issues for that of the 94, which then had to take a tow, and so he'll be slow. He's losing all of his time. And then saw himself blow up. That is going to be another driver done for the night. Kevin seems to be the running issue for a lot of these drivers. Some might not be thinking about their tents as well as they should have been and blowing up those engines.
Yeah, it was interesting. He came in with that lead pack. He was right behind Chris Cinnamon going in. You would think as he cooled the truck down rolling into his pit road, he would have been okay. I wonder if something so silly as he didn't fill the truck with fuel and ran out of gas over there on the apron.
Small little mistakes could be costly. That could have been one of the issues. On my information, though, it looks like he's got required damage, indicating he has blown up or some type of mechanical or some type of issue has happened for the 94, who has now been forced into pit road. Could be another driver to be fallen into the graveyard of drivers that are done here tonight. But up front, it's going to be that of Blake Lothian, who was won at Watkins Glen earlier this season. The 59 trying to find himself back into victory lane potentially, and as well as you see that up the 81 of Taylor Peacock, who's trying to find himself in a victory lane for the first time this season for the 81.
We have not talked about Lothian, and through the pit stop exchange, here he is leading the pack. How the heck did he drive around everybody? It's astonishing to me. As I also got to give a nod, and you see Lothian pulled down. I think maybe his truck was overheating. I'm not sure why he did that.
I might have been, hey, this is getting a little bit too racy, as, you know, there's still a lot of racing, 20 laps to go, but he is losing too much ground, potentially, and that, usually when you make the indication that I'm going to drop back, you want to make sure that you're not losing too much time where you'll lose the lead trap. Looks like the 59 he might be doing that, but at least he does have some help to work with, Blake Lothian, as he's going to have that of Bullock, Hagen, and Dittmer to work with before losing the trap completely. But up front and on board, he's back to 1 in a lead this race for 42.
Yeah, just as soon as everybody was spread out from the pit stops, those who had good pit stops all came back together. I was looking at Chris Cinnamon. He caught the back of that pack by the skin of his teeth. Now the question is, those drivers who packed up earlier, Cinnamon was on the back bumper of the two of Wade, and looking like he's trying to get back to him. And I don't know. We'll see. You know, like we said before, we're just trying to develop that story. Were they working together? As I'm surprised at the attrition we've seen with trucks having motor problems here tonight.
I also want to give an update on Kyle Hess, who we noted on, who was having issues when into pit road as free group with Brady LaBeouf, back in 19th and 20th position, but they're finding themselves being about 28, almost 29 seconds off the leader. They're going to need a yellow if they want to get back into the mix of things. We only have 20 drivers on the lead lap. Devin Painter caught speeding for the 64. You've had that unsafe pit entry at stay in pit road was held, and that's going to be putting the 64 a lap down and struggling as he'll be on the end of the middle of this lead group. But this is a worse spot for the 64. That was one of our favorites to watch out for, is Ted Wade, Stephen Gregory going to be side by side. It's good to see the 61 up front and not having the internet woes that was striking the 61 earlier in the race.
Yeah, for sure. He's in a no-win situation. He's got to stay out front and be the first truck one lap down should that inevitable incident occur. But yet he's in the tornado. So for him, he's just hoping he can dodge the wreck, and then that'll be the reset in order to come back in and challenge for the win later.
And for all these drivers, they continue to pressure one another as they continue to race as hard as they are. Seeing Chris Cinnamon, that Robert Richards, as well as Rule Meza side by side working for themselves. Want to give note, if you're excited watching this racing here tonight, as here comes the 3 on the outside, we're going to see even more excitement racing here on LSRTV. Sunday night, drivers an opportunity for 2 races, 2 spots to be grabbed. If you win one of these 2 races, you get a spot to race in the 2022 Spring Fling presented by BLR. And each winner gets a spot sponsored by LSRTV. Dirt racing action Sunday, and we cannot wait for all the coverage to be here on LSRTV. And again, this Sunday, we'll get 2 spots to race in the Spring Fling 2022. But up front going to be that is Stephen Gregory, Chris Cinnamon still side by side, but it's still seen that of the 2 and also the 29. Ted Wade, Keith Bradley, they still continue to stay attached with one another.
Yeah, running nose to tail on that bottom line, and pretty impressed here with Stephen Gregory. He did not show the speed earlier in this, but once he's out front, he's making all the right moves and just able to hold that yellow line down there. You know, you watch these drivers go around the corner, and I sometimes, when I'm following a truck, just wonder what the heck is going on with them. They turn in the corner, the truck goes up, they come down, they go up, they go down. You could see that 61 is just planted on the yellow line, holding the perfect line all the way through the corner. And that makes you predictable. And in that context, that's the type of driver you want to follow.
And as we're watching these drivers that are up front, I mean, you're trying to find that smoothness to work with. But this lead group going to be top 16, still attached. It's going to be Dan Hagen all the way back to place, just trying to stay attached with the draft. But Kevin, with 16 drivers in this lead group, we see a lot of drivers that we thought were going to be contenders faltering out with penalties, just losing the draft on a poor pit stop, or just a poor decision to fall out of the draft. We're running out of time for these drivers. We're coming closer and closer to 10 laps to go. When is it the last dash opportunity for the drivers that are about 10th back to 16?
Now. Every one of these drivers wants to be out front right now, and they want to lead the rest of the laps. That's all there is to it. The only way you're going to win this thing is be out front, and hopefully you'll pick the right partner to push you to the line, and they don't abandon you. And you know, it's not as easy as it looks. Now, maybe things will break up and the outside lane will work, or you could dive through the middle, but most of these drivers are probably thinking, Well, I'd like to be out front right about now and not have to wonder how I'm going to make my way through this to get the win.
And another thing that these drivers are going to hate me saying, but when it comes to pressure moments, we have seen collapses and big wreck strike. We think about just tonight alone. End of stage 1, we saw a wreck with 2 laps to go. Coming to the end of that stage. Stage 2, we saw a wreck with 2 laps to go in the stage. And if we continue with that trend, we could be seeing ourselves going into overtime for these drivers as the laps continue to tick away. 12 laps to go here for the Blanchard Towing 200 for the NASRA Triple N Pulling Truck Series. This is the penultimate race of the regular season. You need every point possible, and Chris Cinnamon is actually in a pretty interesting spot for himself, as Chris Cinnamon actually is going to be 17th in points, with what seeing Jose Luis Rivera having a 4 running, could be bumping up the 3 to go into that bubble position going into Bristol, our next race at Bristol. Going to be April 29th here this month. So got a little bit of a break until that final regular season race. But Kevin, the pressure is on. Coming to 11 laps to go.
Yeah, for Cinnamon, certainly a win would be the answer. However, a finish would be just as good, right? Especially if you're up there in the top 5. And it does look like he's got that charge tonight. You know, we were talking about it earlier. Look how close from those Italian trucks are. They're pretty much right on top of each other. And as they go through the corners, you see how tight that top line is coming down to the bottom line. That gap that was 2-3 truck widths wide is now 1 truck width wide. And I just think we're not going to make it to the finish here. Somebody's going to wiggle, somebody's going to jiggle, and we're going to end up with a collection of trucks against the outside safer barrier.
Also, coming out of the exit of the corner, there's just all that jostling of, you know, just trying to hold your line is hard enough. The momentum carries you where the truck just wants to naturally move up a little bit, but to hold your line, not get into anyone else, you really got to crank that wheel, get you loose if you're not careful. 10 laps to go. It's Stephen Gregory trying to get himself back into victory lane for the second time this season, as well as seeing that of Keith Bradley, who already has won super speedway races this season, but it's that outside lane. It's the 3, Chris Cinnamon, who is shown at times in special events, even when it comes to runs. Bradley gets a little loose there, touching the apron. But Chris Cinnamon, he hasn't found that clutch factor to win these races, but he's always put himself in an opportunity. Is tonight finally the night for the 3 to go to victory lane?
You could see Cinnamon, and Richards gets turned. Is he going to come back across the racetrack and collect anybody else?
Newberg.
He's going to get Newberg.
Newberg going to be involved with this. I believe also Bullock might have been involved, as see the replay here. And just like that, spin goes around as the yellow is officially out for these drivers. Replay screen a little bit fluky. Sorry for all the graphical errors. We've been trying to get those situated as fast as possible, but we are under yellow. With the timing of this yellow, going to be putting us around 4 to 5 laps to go when we go green. And for these drivers, they're going to reset. Potentially can go into pit road. Some are going to have to go get some damage repair. And for us, we're going to step aside when we come back. The conclusion here for the Blanchard Towing 200 for the NASRA Triple N Pulling Truck Series. We'll be back in just a few.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland, and for the 2nd year in a row, the Community Radio Network is excited to also be the voice of iRacing on LSRTV every Monday and Thursday night with the Northwest Racing Series for Cup and Truck. Join yours truly, Justin Prince and Samuel Dyer, every week as they race towards a championship. We're also on the radio in the Triangle, in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area at 87.5 WCRN, and anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. Click play. Check out the coverage, the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, esports style. We are the Community Radio Network, the voice of iRacing on LSR TV. Check it out when you can, and replays are always up too.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to NASRA's Triple M Pulling Truck Series. This is the penultimate race, second to last race of the regular season. And points are massive to be gained here tonight. Chris Cinnamon leading here tonight after our third yellow of the evening. Our first two were coming to the end of stage one and the end of stage two. And as we were coming to the end of the race, another yellow strikes as tonight has been on LSRTV. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me in just a little bit, it's going to be Kevin England, and as well going to be having LSRTV Studios giving us all of the cameras and graphics this evening. You might be wondering what's been going on with the graphics. Well, a little bit of a shakeup's been going on, and under our replays, you might be wondering, you see a TNR show up. Well, that's Tuesday Night Racing that our producer actually runs on Tuesday nights. Not affiliated with LSRTV, but TNR also gets to see that of NASRA periodically during their broadcast. So a little bit of sharing back and forth for these drivers and series. But for tonight's race, the drivers are getting set up. Chris Cinnamon, Stephen Gregory, with that Keith Bradley, Trey Pitts, Ted Wade, Taylor Peacock, Ed Osborne, Stephen Thomas, Blake Lothian, and also Jacob Klinkart going to be your top 5 drivers here tonight, with also that of Jeffrey Sickles in 12th position, and Bullock, Brandon Bullock going to be in 11th. Those top 12 going to be the drivers, actually going to be the drivers that did not come into pit road, as Robert Richards and others all came in to get repairs done for themselves and top off with fuel and damage. We've had a wide and large amount of drivers being out of this race, as 26th to that of 35th all are done and out of this race here tonight. The storylines, Chris Cinnamon trying to get himself a win, comes in tonight outside of the top 16 in points. And if you're in the top 16, you race for the playoffs and for a championship. But if you're outside, you can see yourself being snubbed out. And Chris Cinnamon, he wants to get the win to officially lock himself in, as our next race will be at Bristol, April 29th. And then we also have Keith Bradley on the second truck on the inside, trying to go 3 for 3 at the super speedways. Can he get it done? Kevin, we're coming to this restart. It's going to be 5 laps to go. What are your thoughts going into this last dash?
Yeah, take every opportunity you can get at this point. It's every driver for themselves. I mean, certainly you want to try and work with your teammate, but if there's a gap, if there's a hole, if somebody slides up in front of you, you're going to stick your nose in there. You're going to take every position you can get yourself up to the front and try and score yourself a win. I look at this top group: Gregory, Bradley, Wade, Peacock, Thomas. They've all won, but there's a lot of hungry drivers in that mix, Sam. None of them hungrier than Chris Cinnamon. Would love to get a win, and with the pace track off, we're going to look to see whether he can get the job done here tonight.
Green flag in the air for the Blanchard Toby 200 here tonight, as it is green, 5 laps to go. Chris Cinnamon, as well as that of Brady LaBeouf, Keith Bradley, and as well as we see that of Ted Wade, working with one another on the inside. Those 3 trucks, the top 3, they have been so fast and working with each other all night long, and the final opportunity to take the win is on at turn number 2, the jostling on the outer lane. Kevin, we've seen the intensity has been ramping up. Do we make it to that of the checkered flag, or is overtime going to be necessary?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I have no idea. You saw Bradley just shoving Cinnamon all the way down the backstretch, and right there behind him is Wade. I got a call for Lothian. He was running 12th, and I just, for some reason, feel like he's going to be a factor in this.
Gotta be watching out. Here comes that Taylor Peacock, just pulling Pitts to the outside and saying, hey, I'll leave you out there to dry as we're going to continue to move forward. It's going to be Stephen Gregory to the outside. It's going to be pushed by Peacock, and finally 61 to the 81. How well can they work? And as well, there's the 5 of Clinkhart trying to make a charge for himself, but it's Chris Cinnamon and that of Keith Bradley strong up front, trying to hold on as much as they can as the laps continue to dwindle down. But the anticipation, the ramping up of intensity, it's here, it's now, and it's going to be Gregory and Cinnamon side by side out of turn 4.
So far, I like what I've seen on that bottom line. You know, I have to wonder, when we were talking about trucks overheating, whether Bradley's going to have any problems, because he's been in so tight as 10 moments in. Oh, they're going to make contact. 2 trucks sideways, looking down, but we stay green. And I believe we're going to be able to keep going down before contact occurs.
And the yellow flag flies. 3 laps to go. We're going to overtime. It's at Osborne as well. It's going to be the last drive to contact. See the 93 just trying to slow down, but hits the grass, hits the jump, and Osborne over to go. And that's what brings out our yellow. And hey, how are you doing, TNR? As we see another glimpse of this replay, and Roland Mesa just never slows down.
I have no idea how Lothian came across, up onto the track, hooked the thing left, and never plowed the wall, came back down and came to a stop as everybody collects a pace rock. There's some pretty amazing driving going on over there, and unfortunately they just got 2 sideways. Yellow's going to come out.
Yellow flag waves, we reset them, we try it again. And for the drivers here tonight, they are getting prepared for overtime. We have 2 attempts if needed. We're going to do our first attempt as the drivers are trying to catch up to the pace car, and then we'll see who wants to come to pit road, if anyone wants to come to pit road for themselves. But this kind of, you know, takes away a few more drivers from a chance to be racing for a win. Rule Meza with that contact, he's going to be not really looking for a chance to win on at Osborne. Going to be another driver probably knocked out of this. Newbert was already involved with a previous wreck. Lothian, we'll see how well he can try to recover, but this is now going to be leaving us with potentially just 14 drivers with raceable trucks for an opportunity to win here tonight. But if anything, I would say Chris Cinnamon, as well as that of Bradley and Ted Wade, they feel pretty solid on where they're running currently.
Yeah, you know, the good news for them is without less trucks, there's less, or with less trucks in that major group pushing, there's less energy to try and get things sorted out, meaning organized to go around you. I kind of like Cinnamon's chances, and well, we answered your question. Are we going to make it to green, or are we going to go to green, white, checker? Here we are.
Overtime is here as the drivers are seeing some that ran right into pit road immediately, going to get back out on course. As Cody Knott actually going to be getting the lucky dog for himself, going to get back on the lead lap. So technically we're going to be seeing ourselves with 22, maybe even 20 trucks going to be on track on this restart. Again, this is attempt number 1 of 2. The second one is there if needed, but that's if we cannot finish this race on this first attempt. Which, Kevin, we've seen majority of the season, we are able to finish out the races on just 1 attempt in overtime. Yep. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to get it done here, but if they don't, and we go green, do not make it to the white flag that last lap, and a yellow flag comes before that, then we will go into our second attempt. If, again, second attempt, yellow flag comes before we get the white flag, the race will end under yellow. We're hoping it stays green and we can finish this thing out. But that's the one thing that I love about super speedway racing. You know, honestly, any track that we go to, we get it to overtime, and we get to that white flag, gloves are off. It does not matter who wrecks. It's all about who finishes and crosses the line first. That's the moment I'm excited for, of who's willing to wreck one another, and will it happen on the backstretch, or will it happen coming out of turn 4?
Yeah, you know, Ken, you just don't know how this is going to play out. You run all these laps, you get to lap 85, you go to overtime, and it's a clean slate. You have to say that a couple of these trucks have found their partners. They seem to be set up. The bigger question is, Bradley and Cinnamon, if they could stay hooked up, will Bradley look out to see if he can go get the win, or is he going to push Chris to the win and stay tucked to him? Now he's going to be to his outside, so the whole dynamic's going to change here for this restart. And yep, let's see how it plays. This is going to be fun.
Of about 14, 15 trucks that are raceable here tonight that are still on track, running in the top 15. Only 5 of them are trucks that qualified inside of the top 10. And there are other drivers, well, there are about 5 that are still on track that qualified outside of the top 30 that are still running out here, proving if you qualified up front, if you qualified in the back, it didn't matter. Now everyone has an opportunity. The biggest mover of the night going to be that of Stephen Gregory, up 27 positions from where he started. Going to be in 4th place on this restart as he started all the way back in 31st position. Trey Pitts is another driver, qualified in 33rd spot. He'll be back in 7th. The work is on. The goal, finish tonight's race. Make it to the end. Get those points as they're so massive. Chris Cinnamon needs every point possible for himself. Tyler Dittmer in 11th. Also going to be needing every point possible. But also the goal for that of Keith Bradley, wanting to become the driver that can sweep the super speedways, go 3 for 3 this season. Well, the stage is set. This is overtime, our first attempt at it. Chris Cinnamon, Keith Bradley, Stephen Gregory, Ted Wade, Stephen Thomas, Tyler Peacock, Trey Pitts, Jacob McClinkhart, as well as Bradley LaBeouf, and also going to be that of Robert Richards. They're lined up, they're stacked up, there's a little bit of wheel spin further back, but we are green in attempt number 1 in overtime for the Blanchard Towing 200, and they're lined up immediately. Kevin, that was the perfect start for our top 3.
Amazing start for Cinnamon, and he got exactly what he wanted. He had a great pushing partner in Bradley. Bradley tucked in, and well, there's the 2 right behind him. 3 of them working together before. I don't know whether that was orchestrated or not, but look how messed up this start is. These drivers not organized 2 by 2 by 2 at all, although the top lane's starting to get together here. We'll see whether or not they're going to try and mount a run and wrestle it away from Chris Cinnamon. He leads pretty comfortably going through 3 and 4.
Gotta get to the white flag. We get to the white flag. This race is going to be official, and they are coming out of turn number 4. Further back, they're going to be side by side across the line. White flag in the air. The race official. The goal crossed the line first, and it's Chris Cinnamon. Comes in 7th in points, but Keith Bradley, the animal, he's doing his best. He wants to get a 3rd Super Speedway race win here tonight. But here comes Stephen Gregory on the outside. Forced 3 wide. He's losing ground. And Kevin, watch out for that 29 machine.
I see Thomas jumping up in there in the middle, and unfortunately for Gregory, that's going to break up that outside line. It's going to make Cinnamon happy. He's got right behind him Bradley and Wade pushing. Pitts recovered very well. He's running in 4th. That outside lane mounting no charge. They really have to get organized here off of turn 4 if they want to try for the win.
Keith Bradley, the last opportunity. Will he go high? They're wrecking behind, a little bit more bumping, but it's going to be Chris Cinnamon, who started, who needed the win, comes away. The Blanchard Towing 200 goes to the 3 and locking himself into the playoffs.
Wow, that was textbook for Chris Cinnamon. Just a perfect run, and he's going to look back behind him and say thanks, as he certainly owes half that win to Bradley, who tucked in behind him and shoved him to the front.
I mean, what a track for this 3. Chris Cinnamon to find himself into victory lane. You think of all the history in real life of Dale Earnhardt Sr. winning with that number, and for Chris Cinnamon finding himself in victory lane. I mean, this comes in 17th in points, had one of the biggest drops last week of points and positioning with just a poor run for the 3, and now after tonight, he is locked in and will be racing for a chance for the playoffs and a championship. Congratulations to the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. Big kudos to Keith Bradley. He could have made the move, and honestly, I think he could have had plenty of time to make the move on the 3 and go for 3 for 3. But instead, helps Chris, and now Chris Cinnamon gets to burn it down here at Daytona.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that truck, not a mark on it, just absolutely perfect, and you could see the top 3 down there celebrating. I believe that was an orchestrated move, and nobody really could stack up against these 3 trucks. They're going to nudge each other, give little kisses over there on the front straightaway. And good for Chris Cinnamon, man. That's got to feel really good to get a victory here. This group has such a depth of talent that any win has got to be truly appreciated.
I mean, these three, top three, Chris Cinnamon, Keith Bradley, Ted Wade, they worked together all night long, and teammates just did a fantastic job of being patient in the early portions of this race and working their way, letting the calamity happen for stage 1 and stage 2, and when it really mattered, placing themselves for an opportunity to win 1, 2, 3 for the teammates here tonight. And Chris Cinnamon now doesn't have to worry about points. He's locked into the playoffs, and he's going to chill out on the front stretch and wait to get started as the three. It's good camera shots as he's here, but Kevin, this is going to shake everything up going into Bristol again. We're not going to be racing next week. It's going to be in 2 weeks for these drivers. April 29th, last race of the regular season. That is going to be a barn burner at Bristol to see who's going to survive their last great Coliseum.
Yeah, a couple disappointing moments for some of those drivers out back who thought maybe tonight was their night. Unfortunately, these three just kind of wrestled it away from them. But hats off to good runs for Osborne, who got caught up in the incident towards the back, and Lumpkin coming away with a decent run tonight. Jacob Klinkart certainly had a strong truck underneath him. He's going to finish in the top 5 position. And some of them were here, but unfortunately they weren't able to find the strategy to get to victory lane.
And with no graphic for us here this evening for our unofficial racing results, we're going to run them down here audibly for you. First place goes to Chris Cinnamon. Second goes to Keith Bradley. Ted Wade's going to take third for that too. And we will be talking to our top 3 here shortly in our post-race show. Trey Pitts is going to be in 4th. Jacob Klinkart is going to be in 5th. Stephen Thomas is going to be in 6th place, with that of Stephen Gregory going to be in 7th. Brady LaBeouf going to be taking 8th place, with Taylor Peacock in 9th, and 10th going to Justin Lumpkin.
11th spot tonight for Robert Richards. Dan Hagan soldiers on for a 12th. Lucky 13th for Kyle Hess. Devin Painter in the 64. 14th. 15th finishing for Brandon Bullock in the 17. I don't think we even mentioned his night tonight. 16th for Tyler Dittmer. Cody Knott soldiers on for a 17th place finish. 18th tonight for Adam Newbert after his troubles late. Raul Meza 19th, and it'll be Blake Lothian coming home 20th with the damaged truck from that last incident.
With Jeffrey Sickles in 21st. 22nd goes to Ed Osborne. Dana Shepard's going to be taking that 23rd position, with as well Eric Zimmerman in 24th. 25th is going to be Jose Luis Rivera with Adam Cantwell in 26th. 27th going to be Joey Doucette. 28th goes to Derek Kilgore. 29th is going to be Zach Hartwick with Michael McKinnon taking 30th. 31st goes to Logan Quinn, with Clint Mata going to be taking 32nd position. 33rd goes to Tori Thompson. James Morris is going to be taking 34th. 35th goes to Huck Wigington. Those are your 35 drivers. Big thanks to TJ Moore for being our race control for this evening. We're going to step aside. We only needed 1 overtime attempt, and it was Chris Cinnamon taking the victory. When we come back, it's our post-race show for that of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the post-race show for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, Season 4, race number 13, the penultimate race of the regular season. And some drivers need a win for themselves. And the Blanchard Towing 200 here at Daytona put on a fabulous show. Overtime was needed, only one attempt. And Chris Cinnamon found himself into victory lane. Started the night off 17th in points, coming away with the victory, locked himself into the playoffs. It's not a bad way to finish out here at Daytona. But before we go to victory lane, first we're going to talk to third place runner Ted Wade. Ted, a great running for yourself. You tested a little bit of fate being up front earlier in this race, but man, what was your mentality going into that overtime attempt and trying to help the teammates finish up front?
Yeah, we were just hoping we were going to be able to single file down to the bottom. Luckily, Chris got a good enough jump that I was able to just squeeze in front of Stephen Gregory and just try to stay nose to tail and hope nobody get a run on us. And those guys started battling each other and played out the way we needed it to.
I want to talk about that last part there. How the heck did you clear him? I mean, it is almost impossible from where you were to come through and tuck in third with that jump. You guys definitely timed that strategy just perfectly on that last restart.
Oh yeah, I almost didn't pull down in there, and I could just barely see him out the corner of the mirror, and I was just hoping I was clear.
I mean, Ted, an incredible run for yourself. We got one more race until playoff racing action. A little bit of a break until we get to Bristol. How are you feeling about that next race coming up?
All feeling pretty good. We all seem to do pretty good on the short tracks. Just another one of them deals where we got to get out front and just run the race, dominate it, try to.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, Ted, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, just got to give a shout-out to these great teammates of mine here, Chris Cinnamon, Keith Bradley. We missed Keith Haney tonight. Not sure where he was at, but give big thanks to all them guys. If it wasn't for them, we couldn't put on a show like that. Thank John Hedrick at Overtop Designs, Racer Apparel, Bruzy Racewear, and all you guys over here at LSRTV.
That's going to be Ted Wade in the 2, coming away with a third place finish here tonight at Daytona. We then go over to second place where we find that of Keith Bradley, the driver that we weren't sure if he was going to try to go 3 for 3. Was that even a thought that crossed your mind in overtime, or was it just follow your teammate there, Keith?
I thought about it for a second, for a little bit there, and then Chris got in front of me, and I was like, man, he's a teammate of ours. He's been in a bunch of trouble this season so far, and he really needs a win bad. So we basically focused on getting Chris into victory lane tonight.
I have a question for you, Keith, about your truck performance tonight. We saw some drivers look like you had some heating problems, maybe? Was there any problems in your motor? You were tucked in so tight to Chris almost the entire race there, second half of the race.
So with 10 to go when I was behind Gregory, that was about the only heating issue I had. The last bit there when I was really shoving the 3, I wasn't overheating. Wasn't really an issue. That yellow right before that saved me because I was going to have to pull out at some point to cool off. So, I mean, it really wasn't. I was going to run it till it blew up.
Well, it certainly looked like it was smoking out there with how fast you were running, Keith. And like I asked Ted, we got Bristol coming up, the last race of the regular season. You're tied with Ted in wins with 2. You feel like maybe you can get your third and have the most wins going into the playoffs?
I mean, we'll see. I look at that track as another wild card just because, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen as far as crashes go and stuff like that. And my luck's been bad, but it seems like we're peaking at the right time. I mean, we were really fast last weekend again, and I feel like if we can keep the momentum going, this whole team that we got is going to be pretty stout, I think.
Well, Keith, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Absolutely. I want to thank Ted for pushing me, and Chris, congratulations on the win. I want to thank him also. Everybody at Upfront Motorsports, John Hedrick at Over the Top Designs. He keeps us looking pretty fresh. Racer Apparel, Bruzy Racewear. You guys calling the races every Friday. I know we all appreciate that, and everybody at NASRA.
That's going to be Keith Bradley coming away with a second place finish here tonight for the 29 machine. Bristol's the next one. Congratulations on that. Good luck going to Bristol.
Thank you.
As we now move down to our butt kicker victory lane, we find ourselves with the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. Came into the night 17th in points. Needed a good points day. Well, why not just get a win? Lock yourself into the playoffs. Chris, you got it done. How you feeling after this one?
Oh, I'm feeling great, boys. After that one, I missed the last 2 weeks. I needed a win bad, and I got to thank my teammates. I got the best teammates in the business here. Ted and Keith, couldn't done without them. We work together every week. It's friggin' amazing working with those guys.
You heard Chris, Keith mentioned that he was looking for some momentum. Is this some momentum that blooms you to a championship run?
100%. I mean, I felt fast all year long, but whether it's being caught up in a wreck that shouldn't be, or I did make a stupid mistake, I shouldn't be back here this far in points, and I really needed to get a good finish here to, put my place in the standings here. And I think the whole team, we're getting the momentum at the right time, and here comes playoffs. So look out, here we come.
I mean, it's practically kind of reading the same book that you just had here tonight. I mean, laying back and staying out of trouble. Not having the best runs that you've had, but for tonight, you stayed out of trouble, missed the 2 big wrecks that happened. The third one was close. But Chris, give us your thoughts of carving through this field, working with Keith Bradley and as well Ted Wade in that later half of the race when you guys knew it's go time to be up front.
That's been our plan all year long on all the super speedways. If you watch, we'll qualify up front, and then we'll drop right to the back and give it 20 to go. You'll see a freight train coming, and you know what? It's worked so far, and I'm going to knock on wood it keeps going. Stay out of trouble early, and then we'll be up front at the end.
That seems to be the recipe to get to victory lane like you did here tonight. Well, Chris, congratulations again on the win. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Of course, Bruzy Racewear, Racer Apparel, John Hendrick, Over the Top Designs. He gives us some amazing paint schemes every week. Also, he's put this team together. He is friggin' amazing. And then, of course, the whole league, Brady here, running this NASRA league. It's not an easy gig. He puts a lot of work in, man. I appreciate what he's doing every week.
That is going to be the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. Again, your winner here tonight for the Blanchard Towing 200. Congratulations on the victory, and good luck at Bristol here in a few weeks.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in a couple of races here, eh?
I cannot wait for it. As, again, that is Chris Cinnamon from your butt kicker victory lane. Congratulations to the 3, and thank you to our other drivers of Keith Bradley and Ted Wade for joining us here for the interviews of our post-race show. But Kevin, Daytona was quick. This was a pretty fast race that got done very quickly. We only had a handful of yellows that came out at very crucial moments of this race. But man, what were some of your final thoughts of the night?
Yeah, I don't show any favorites. I like to just see a good race, but I always like to see a first-time winner on the season, and congratulations to Chris on that. And I was just kind of hoping someone who didn't have a win was going to have a really feel-good ending to this race. And, well, it was Chris Cinnamon taking the checkered flag, and that was a cool thing to watch.
It was absolutely spectacular to see Chris Cinnamon, that of Keith Bradley and Ted Wade, teammates, making it magic happen here tonight. Finishing 1, 2, 3 with one another and getting the win is Chris Cinnamon and locking himself in. All 3 teammates are locked into the playoffs, but there's one more race to go. Bristol, April 29th, in just a few weeks. That will be the final race of the regular season to see in March who will be in the playoffs for our 16 drivers. Can't wait to see it. For tonight, thank you again to that Academy England joining me up in the booth. My name is Sam Dyer, also LSRTV Studios, helping with all the background, even with all of our issues. We got it done. We got to see the end of the Blanchard Towing 200, and congratulations to Chris Cinnamon once more. Well, if you've had enough tonight, I'll just take a breather, because Easter Sunday, there's going to be more racing action. Again, 2 races to figure out who's going to be racing for the Spring Fling 2022, and only the winners get that spot. Sponsored by LSRTV. If we don't see you then, more racing action